Fam, welcome to the channel. So, I am talking to you from an overcast but balmy 82-degree Davenport, Florida. I've driven over 1,400 miles from New York through Virginia, through the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. And this is my experience for that journey. First of all, a majority of it was done FSD. And it would have been exclusively FSD, but FSD on the Cybertruck requires you to monitor your driving field of vision a majority of the time, all of the time. And when you look at the screen for longer than 2.5 seconds, you will get a warning that you must pay attention to the road. And when I wear dark glasses, not these reflective shades, I don't think that the monitoring camera can read through these glasses. I think the reflective nature of these Costas are having an effect on it. But what will happen is it will give me a prompt, an FSD attention prompt, to put pressure on the steering wheel, to add some inputs into the steering wheel. And if you get that more than four times, it will disable FSD for that trip. So that happened to me, and that's why I had to drive almost 100 miles non-FSD, actually driving it, not because I had to intervene, but because FSD shut down on me, because after the fourth warning, it just disabled it. And that really was a cause caused by these shades and me having to constantly, or not constantly, but occasionally put pressure on the steering wheel as if I'm holding it. And when I don't wear those shades, I find that it's super, I sit back in this chair like, I'm on the battle bridge of the Enterprise, in my tight, in my, conforming con, and I just sit like this. That's it. And just let this thing do its thing.
0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started. Oh, that's real good.
All right, fam. So here is my review and experience of my second shakedown road trip in my brand new Cybertruck. The first time, if you saw the video, I went from New York to Boston to Cape Cod and back, all FSD. No issues whatsoever. Requiring me to intervene and stop the truck from doing something risky or dangerous. And this trip was my next foray into a long road trip. So I wanted to see, going from the cold of New York, which when I left New York, it was 21 degrees. Snow had fallen. Had been iced over. It wasn't pretty from there, all the way down to 82 degree weather here in Florida. Now, that whole trip, if I'd driven straight, it would have been 1,200 miles, but I took some detours. I wanted to instead of coming completely straight, I hit destinations. So I hit Chesapeake, Virginia. Love that area, but it was still cold. It was still in the 40s and the highest 50 degrees max. And then I went from Virginia. I came straight down through the Carolinas. I wanted to see the coastline. I just wanted to have a scenic view, even though it's in the middle of February. And then I made it all the way down to Savannah, Georgia, where the weather was just fantastic. 60s, was in the mid 60s, was the highest that I experienced. It was great. It was just a fantastic change in environment for that amount of time. And in Savannah, I stayed a couple of days and drove around, visited the riverfront, went to a fantastic restaurant. I'm going to put it down here. I had some remarkably tasty sea bass. So I'll show the restaurant journey as we came down here to Florida. But this is just giving you an idea. So I stopped in Virginia. I stopped in Savannah. And again, as we're saying, I stayed some time in Savannah just to enjoy it, drive around, see, it's just beautiful down there. It's just a beautiful scenic city. And then I went from Savannah to here where we are now in Florida. And I'm right outside of Kissimmee, where I supercharged for 22 cents. It's not a 250 watt supercharger, it was 150. And the time I went, it was from 4 to 8 a.m. A lot of people were hip to it. So it wasn't super speedy, but for the price and the fact that, I'm an early riser anyway, it absolutely worked out for me. So I'm going to give you a breakdown of how this thing drove, how much it cost me in running costs, the comfort of it, everything going from New York to Florida in a Cybertruck. What was great about it and what went wrong, if anything. First, let's talk about the drive. The ride of the air suspension on the Cybertruck is fantastic. I was expecting this 6,000, almost 7,000 pound stainless steel monstrosity, as some people called it, to handle clumsily and to actually be difficult to drive long distances. But in fact, it is ridiculously responsive. It turns tight in a circle. When I had to make a K-turn, a broken U-turn, it was fantastic. Reliability is the big issue that plagues the Cybertruck. YouTubers have had problems with the steering failing literally 1 mile into their ownership. Another YouTuber literally had to return his because he had so many issues with it. And the automotive media has had article after article, not only the steering issues, but a strange rusting issue that owners were complaining about. And then there was this article that literally laid out a timeline for the entire year of 2024 of each issue and problem that owners were having, from lack of sensors in the front, that could actually cut off fingers, body panels flying off, interior trim not being connected properly and coming loose. And I literally went over my truck with a fine tooth comb, just like I did with my Model Y Performance, only to be relieved and pleasantly surprised that it was just like my Model Y Performance. It is the best built vehicle that I have. And I have to say, even after driving the Highland Model 3 update refresh, this is even better than that. Solid body fittings, solid body hardware. I never had a problem with my Model Y, and it's 2 years old. And now I have driven this Cybertruck 5,000 miles in less than 40 days, fam, and have not had as much as a hiccup with it. I've only had my Cybertruck for 40 days, and I've put 5,072 miles on it using 1,900 kilowatts of power. The cheapest supercharging I got was 22 cents. That works out to be less than 6.5 cents per mile. And I'm not averaging the 3.5 kilowatt hours per mile that my Model Y does, but 2.6 ain't bad for a 7,000 pound truck.